You're welcome to this session, and I welcome you all from the various countries from West Africa, East Africa, South Africa, and the Central Africa. My name is Welba Sebuyongo Chivekayunga. I am the CEO of the Action Entrepreneurs, and I also work with the Nkumba University. I also work as consultant in the various fields, but particularly in business consultancy and education. And in this session, we're going to look at agricultural industrialization and expansive commercialization. I would like to thank the African women in herbs, spices, and natural products for having mobilized Africans towards its development, and women in herbs, spices, and natural products for development. I would like to thank the executive directors and the members who confine under this group in Africa. I would like to start this by looking at what we call the office and agriculture. Do we have a relationship between office work and agriculture? The biggest disease of African countries which we have to treat now, and it is our turn to treat it, is having a differentiation between agriculture and the office. For years, people in office have always avoided agriculture and also have made sure that they separate agriculture from the office. And we ask ourselves, can agriculture fit in the office? Or can the office actually also fit in agriculture? Or the two should be separated? So we note that we cannot be enterprising unless we shift the office to agriculture, other than fixing agriculture into the office, because agriculture is larger than an office. And actually, it is agriculture that has to produce the office. We ask ourselves a question here. Which of the following income strategies would you really prefer? So among these income strategies, would you want to be a generational income earner? Do you want to be a seasonal income earner? Do you want to be a monthly income earner, or daily, or earning per second? I would like to know from you. Okay, if you're earning, you want to earn income in a generational manner, and therefore you have to earn this income every generation, then what you need to know is that we need to know who actually earns higher than the other. The manufacturer is the one that earns money generationally from agriculture. If you want to earn money every generation, then you have to be a manufacturer. If you want to earn money seasonally, then you have to be a farmer. If you want to earn money monthly, then you choose to be an employee. You want to earn money daily, then you either manufacture or become a trader. You set up a shop and become a trader. You want to earn money every second from the field of agriculture, then choose to be a manufacturer. So manufacturers here earn money generationally and also earn it per second. That means every second that passes, the manufacturer is making money from agriculture. And if you want to earn it on daily basis, you either be a manufacturer or a trader, or you want to earn it every second, then you have got to center your efforts to manufacturing. So who earns money higher than the other? That's a question we need to answer in here. According to the research we have done, looking at African performance in agriculture, and particularly also looking at the Food Agriculture Organization, the World Bank, and the International Labour Organization, we see that agriculture earners, farmers who are the biggest farmers in the in agricultural contribution, when you look at the bottom line here, you will see that farmers in agricultural contribution, they contribute up to 40% of what uh, agriculture needs. And then the manufacturers, they contribute up to 25%, and then traders contribute 20%, and then employees contribute efforts to 15%. And then when it comes to yielding profitability and earning in terms of profits, farmers earn 18%. That is approximately $450. That is in a season. However, when you look at manufacturers, are earning up to 40% in profitability. So every time a farmer is getting $450, the manufacturer is getting 40%. That is $1,000. And the trader is getting $750. That is 30%. And then the employees who are in these farms working around, they are earning 12%. That makes the total of 100%. So you see that manufacturers are earning higher, followed by traders, and then farmers who are putting a lot of effort are earning 18%, and then the other percentage is earned by the employees, rating up to 12%. So this indicates that agriculture is contributing to the economy, but widely their manufacturers are the ones who are benefiting, and the traders benefiting more in agriculture than the farmers themselves. Though the farmers are many, but they are not earning that sensibly. So it is not economically viable for them. That's why they continue in agriculture. However, we need to make a turnover where we see that farmers are benefiting more from agriculture, and some of these farmers have to be converted to being manufacturers, so that the chain of the supply chain continues from farming into manufacturing, and the same farmers who are having farms, and at the same time they are also holding manufacturing factories and industries. So this shift can also enable some of the farmers to be to establish farms, and also be able to work with other farmers in the communities whom we are calling the outgrowers, so that those outgrowers can supply and complement to what you are actually growing within your houses, and be able to sustain your manufacturing plant. So let us look at first, that is an introduction, but let us look at first or what actually expansive agricultural system, an expansive agricultural system should actually entail. An expansive agricultural system has got to first rely on land. Land is an asset for every agriculturist, and therefore land has got to be protected and has got to be managed well, and the management of land sustainably is actually through what we are calling organic management of land. We see in the background there is a picture of land set on fire by burning bush to clear it, which is actually a big danger on land, because you see that land has got to generate its own fertility other than getting injections from from inorganic fertilizers. So when we have to maintain land, we have got to rely mostly on decomposite manure, and also be able to enable we need to enable this land to regenerate its own manure. And if it is to be supported, then we should support this land by enabling the use of the compost manure, which we can get from our farms, from the garbage, and actually be able to fertilize it. If we don't take care of land as a resource, then we have lost agriculture as well, because agriculture is widely depending on land and will always be depending on land. That's why we have put here the aspect of segmentation in pest management and also disaster management, where we partition this land, expansive land, large acreages, and larger yardage. You need to separate this land and create columns and rows where you can where one piece of land is separated from the other. In case one gets a disaster, then the other is not affected. We also see the protection of seed quality, and that is the sanctity of a seed. Seed power has got to be protected, and thus seeds have got to be safeguarded from mutations and also from losing originality. If these are seeds, then if it comes to animals, then we are looking at actually the breed. So we have got to protect the breed and the seed. That is very key. Breed and seed originality, by making sure that we avoiding mutated seeds. Protecting the sanctity of the seed is enabling the seed power to continue for generations. Otherwise, there will be a time where the originality of the original seeds are no longer in place. We no longer have them, but they are replaced by seeds that you cannot replant. You cannot plant them again, and therefore the authority of agriculture would be ventured on relayed to the hands of a few people in the community. So that has to be very key. So just feed the animal very well, and also make sure that the seeds are, are planted on soils that are organically fed and fertilized, so that they germinate very well, and they can also yield very well. The other aspect is a supportive system to land and the seed, where we need water and spacing, which are standard spacing. We need to know that there are standard spaces needed for maize to yield well, for coffee to yield well, for cocoa to yield well, for peanuts and the other agricultural products. So we need to study what are the standard separation, distance of separation in terms of feet. If it is coffee, 2 feet, 10 feet that are recommended interspacing of crops, that enables access to sunshine and also air penetration, which is very key in the productivity of a crop, and also access to water. Most of our African countries, the water table, wherever crops can grow well, the water table is not very far away. So we can have earthen sources where we can dig and drill on the very ground, on the very land, and actually be able to source water that can irrigate these crops, and have more seasons than the ordinary seasons, the ordinary 2 seasons of the year. Actually, studies have indicated that coffee can thrive and can fruit, can flower every season, every season, and every time if it is watered. And similarly, it is for all other crops, including those that are perennial and those that are short term. Then we see that disease control is also very key, that requires studying the behavior of a crop and also how it should be treated. And thus we need to be able to control disease and using natural means and also artificial means that are regulated. So foreign weed management is very key, and that what we call in foreign weed management, those are weeds that you not need in the those are weeds that don't make economic sense, and therefore even when they are harvested, they need to be left to dry. And then we've seen farmers here who are really depending on spraying to spraying weeds to try to manage them in the gardens, and that is really very dangerous to to spray and dry weeds instead of using either mechanical methods or human involvement in weeding. So here we also look at, you need to make sure choose the farming system. Choosing an appropriate farming system is very key, depending on the crop or the animal that you desire to take care or to rear or to grow. For example, there are two here farming systems that we are using, and recently when I visited Brazil, I was extensively explaining how we can actually and demonstrating how we can utilize these two farming systems. We have what we call intensive farming or intensive agriculture, where we use a small piece of land, a small area, but do diversely with that small area. And this implies that you're using a small area. So this small area, you're either rearing many animals in that area or growing many crops in a small unit. So that means that you need to go vertical, that you need to go upwards, because we have a lot of space upwards. And in agriculture, some people limit the eye on the ground. So this is intensive agriculture looks at the space above the space, and therefore we can have goats on a floor, another on the next floor, the third floor, the fifth floor, and the seventh floor, other than having them spreading on a large piece of land horizontally. However, for places where we are involving in we have a lot of land, we have 5 acres, we can have 100 acres, 200, and or we could even go to square miles of land. Then that is extensive agriculture. So extensive agriculture requires a larger acreage of land, and that if that land is to be acquired by purchase, then to involve some good investment of money to purchase this land. And sometimes we can also go for leasing, where you get a lease of 49 years, and of most of the countries here in Africa can avail you a lease of 49 years, depending on the tenure system of your country. You need to study the tenure system of your country, and others can actually get that land, acquire this land by renting it, either by year by year, or by season. I'm actually having farms. My farms are I have put them on land which I rent and renew every season. And agriculture that I carry on is a seasonal payment and the renewal of the of the of land usage is by season. However, it is very insecure to do it that way because the landlord can actually change interest of using this land and can affect you. So having a lease is better, but that requires you to have an extensive plan of utilizing this land for that period of time. I use a seasonal system because I widely use my agricultural projects for education and other than only for yielding output for trade and the manufacturing, but I widely use agricultural output and agricultural farms for demonstration and also for training and be able to guide my people with an exposure to such a crop and its way of handling it. So here, the next step after choosing the farming system, then you need to manage harvests. Of course, there is a system of how to plant and how to manage harvest. So managing harvest is very key because you need to look at reduction of losses and also maintaining quality during carriage and storage. That is very key. There are some crops that were impounded uh, at the border of Uganda to Kenya due to inflatoxins, and that the government of Kenya was raised an alarm that there was a problem with the excessive inflatoxins that were on the maize coming from Uganda, and therefore the the all the maize that was being shipped to Kenya was impounded, and thus it was closed off the border, and the border was closed off until interventions were done to release the maize to Kenya. And that comes with poor storage, which we've got to handle. Whenever we are dealing with expansive agricultural systems, then harvest management for quality and also preventing losses for post-harvest losses is also very fundamental. Then here we are also looking at making sure that to manage harvest, of course you need a plan, and therefore you need to know how much does a square meter produce, how much yield do you get per square meter, and what is the cost inputs in a square meter, so that you can have a scale of costs of an entire acre, and you can also spread it beyond an acre, and then also be able to estimate what are the yields that are expected to come from an acre. Then the harvest can be traded, or you can also get involved in the manufacturing process. Then after that, you look at what we call earning. You can now earn from what you've traded and what you have manufactured, and then you are able to earn what you've earned. We advise that you reinvest in agriculture for expansivity, to where you have had 50 acres or 70 acres, you can go to 100 by reinvesting in agriculture, so that it's not a temporary deal of harvest and run away. This is our first session. We are going to have a next session, and that is our last session. Thank you. My name is Wilbur Sebuyungo Chivekayunga, a lecturer at Nkumba University. I'm also the CEO of the Action Entrepreneurs, and I also have entities, the Go AI Digital Services, the Wilbur's Barbecue Cafe, and also Farm Africa as where I do agriculture. I would like to thank you. My contact is 0704 054977. For other countries, you can put a +256 704 054977.